morning. I usually get down there to the Gateway chapter meeting every last Friday of the month, but it's about 100 and some mile, 110 mile trip down there, but I grabbed a buddy of mine or so, and we head down there and have breakfast with them at the IHOP. And with the way things are going now, I think that's going to be out for a while. And now, Dan, I see you're just a little south of Roble down there. My late wife was from, well, she wasn't from there, but she lived there for quite a while. And so let's see, that's about all I know about that. So I think I'm going to say 7-3, guys. So I do have another comment, though. Oh, by the way, Dan, I guess I was talking to you about Ed Perry's call up there, so I was looking at the wrong stuff. Seeing your, looks like you have an interest in airplanes there. That's something I fly RC airplanes. I haven't done too much of it lately, but I've got enough of them, so if I want to do it, I've got the stuff to do it with. And I gave up flying full-size planes back in the 90s, so I do my flying on my Harleys there. So I better keep it to my plan, and go ahead and turn it over to W2SPI and listen around, and I'm going to head on up to the a little bit. So give me a 2SDR. Come on, pick it up. W9WJO, Earl, Quincy, Illinois.
W9WJO. W2SDR. Okay, Earl, service ready. Hello, hey, goodbye. Check the leader. W2SDR. I don't know who else is in this stuff here. He's over on the other operating position, messing around with, still trying to wake up. So there's Dan in there. And Paris. So let's see what's going on here. And I don't know who gets W2SDR.
I think it's Ron's man with the direction here. Good morning, Frank.
And knocked big old signal down here to Shepherdsville this morning, as you usually have. And, computer issues. Man, I hate computer issues. It's okay if the computer's running fine and you're trying to figure out a particular program. That's one story. But if you're actually having issues where the computer doesn't work, I hate that. Really do. Really do. But, back in the early days when computers were coming on and software was getting more evolved, I guess you'd say, and requiring more CPU speed and more RAM memory and more things running in the background, and you're still trying to run your old computer that that still ran on vacuum gas tubes, just kidding, of course. But I was one of those guys, man. I hated to upgrade, so I tried to keep a computer for a while, but ever evolving software. But I don't know, they've got computers just so fast now. It's unbelievable. Quad cores and everything else. So they really got it going. Hopefully it's just trying to figure out a program or something. But back in the early days when you had to pick your terminal ports and all the right kind of, man, I tell you, it got pretty tricky. And then of course, as Windows and other programs evolved, a lot of that stuff just kind of went away. And in come the software programmers with the whole different ball game. But anyway, good to hear you on this morning, Frank. Sounding real good down here. And Perry, went and check the page out. Man, that's an excellent build on that double L. I really like that. So I'm assuming the the knife switches so you could throw that thing into bypass. Is that what that's about? And one on the input and one on the output. I'm guessing that's the configuration there. So, well, let's see. Stayed busy yesterday. I spent the entire day outside. Normally, I'll come in from work and I'll be dragging, and usually want to get a nap in or something, but I stayed outside the whole day yesterday. Just really enjoyed the day. Washed a couple cars, mowed the grass, power washed the deck out back, and re-stained the deck out back. So man, I was into it. Just kind of piddling along, just having fun, So whole day turned out pretty good there. Well, anyway, with that, Perry, here she comes back around your neighborhood. Hey, good build on that tuner. That does look cool there. W3MMR. With W2SDR, here is KD4UMU.
K0 Sugar Fox.
There's Steve. Wow, big signal, Steve. Good morning. Been a little while. K0SF, I'll break it in there. We'll get it over to you here in a minute. I'll have my father turn it to you. Steve, good morning. Like I said, big signal. I heard you talking the other day that you got the array back up. You got the second wire back up there, so you might have a little more gain in this direction because you're stronger than I've heard you in quite some time. Great to hear you, Steve, as always. And good morning to you, Pop. Light here this morning. Your backscatter, and a little lighter backscatter than normal, but I still got you in there, no problem. No web SDRs here this morning or anything of the such. 7-3 to you, Earl. Good meeting you this morning. Great to work you. Good signal coming out of Illinois this morning. Mr. W9WJO. Good to hear you. Hopefully you can get on here. You get on here again and enjoy sideband if you're the Breakfast Club there, if you're still within earshot. Yup, not much else going on here. The cat is finally, now the cat won't leave me alone. I couldn't get the cat to come out of the room last night, out of the bedroom last night, my son's room, and now she's won't leave my legs alone, and now she's right there on the other side of the shack door, peeking her head in underneath a jacket. I got my jackets hanging off the hook there, and she's peeking her head in, keeping an eye on me. So cats are cool, man. You know all about cats, Pop. You got plenty of them. I was doing what you did last night, and put a little bit of wet food on the plate there, and for a snack, and yeah, she tore it up from the floor up. Anyway, yeah, I've got us live streaming here on YouTube, messing around with some stuff here this morning, and just trying out some new things. So anyway, back over to you, Pop, and then you can turn it over to Steve out there. And I believe, Steve, you're in Minnesota. W2SDR in the group, W3MMR.
November 4, Echo Delta Queen.
There's a couple of breakers in there. I'm going to let them go. Continue on. So go ahead. The breaker report to Henry. So you pick it up and then pick up another breaker.
I didn't hear the other guy, so I'm going to give it back to you. Good morning, Frank. Good morning, Don. Don, good to hear you on 40 meters the other day. And good morning, Perry. So, Frank, pick it up. You give it to the other guy. I'll just keep giving it to you. W2SDR and 4EDQ. Good morning.
Yeah, he's getting out of there, Henry. It goes to Steve, K0SF. Steve, you go ahead and pass it to Henry and 4EDQ. Henry, you pass it back to Dan, KD4UMU, and then Dan, you'll go ahead and pass it back to me. K0SF in the group, 73POP, W3MMR.
Okay, W3MMR in the group, K0SF, Frank. Haven't talked to you for a while. Well, I'm going to signal Perry, Dan, Henry. All of you are coming in great. Yeah, I did get the wire was kind of already there, Perry, but there wasn't anything connected to it. And a dipole, simply said, a dipole open in the center doesn't couple. It doesn't do anything. It's like it's not there. So I managed to, what had happened was a little embarrassing, to be honest. I had this all set in the fall. I was just crazy busy with work, and my dad passed, and we had a space sale. I don't think I was thinking straight. So one day I rotated the tower. So the tower rotates, right? It's one of these Roan 55G towers with rotating rings and all that. And so I rotated the tower. Well, the inverted V's don't rotate. So this is stuff moving and other stuff that doesn't move. And so when I turned the tower, I had the feed line temporarily cinched up to work on a Yagi, and I forgot to put it back to normal configuration. So when I hit the button on the rotor, I essentially ripped the feed line off the east inverted V. And, then I thought, well, maybe I'll just try one for now. No need climbing up there and fixing that right now. I had a bunch. Remember, I just had gotten nothing done at work all summer. We were way behind. I had to catch up. And the house, yard, and I was just like, forget it. I don't have time to deal with this right now. So I pretty much rationalized that one was as good as two. Not true. And then I wanted to work guys west of me. I could never work anything to the west. So, we had fun with that. And then I thought, I'm really tired of losing something to the east, because all the AM activity from Minnesota, almost all of it is out east. There's guys out west, but you got to stay up till midnight, 1 p.m., and I'm long gone, to the wind when at that time. So anyways, I with spare time on my hands, working at home, and took one of my to-be-soon wasted 3 days of vacation by mid-April that I can't recover. Thought, I'll take one of those, couple, and fix the antenna, because we had nice weather. And so, it was great. The weather was good. I got up there. I got the feed line on there again. Of course, got the dang thing tangled in trees a couple of times, which is a pain in the neck, because we got trees, but got them fished out and got everything put up. So it's not the driven phase thing I show on my QRZ page with the box. Well, the box is still there, but the box doesn't have all those splits and delay networks and all that. That's stuff pretty much gone. All I have is a match now. The thing is really just a two-element beam, a parasitic beam. So I'm driving the east one, and the west one is just parasitic. But the west one now has the same feed line on it, same extremely high quality mill-grade banana plugs on it going into the box. That's so I can reverse it, but I have to climb the tower to do that. And then just a terminating cap. And so that cap plus the feed line affects a short or a very low impedance at the feed point of the west one. So then it's pretty much directional east. Has not great front to back, probably about 10-15 dB, but that's enough. Plus, I'd like to be able to hear somewhat to the west. So, anyways, that's the setup. And it's nice to have the extra oomph now, at least for you guys. So that's what I have been doing last week. Anyway. All right. So Henry, what we've talked a little bit, and are you still in your cabin-esque QTH, I assume, in Georgia? You know, I see your place in QRZ, and why does it remind me of the Waltons? I don't know. That's a very cozy-looking spot. So is that still the domicile, or have you the good signal up here this morning from Georgia? N480QK0SF.
Okay, very good. Good morning. Good to hear you, Steve. Sounding great down here in Blue Ridge, Georgia. We just turned the week on. I'm not on my usual 101. I'm actually on the FT2000 this morning with the solid state amplifier, Steve. So great to hear you. You're coming in very nicely. We're still in the same house. We moved here 5 years ago, and we like it here. We really like it here. And that old log cabin you see on the QZ page, that's actually my, used to be a barn where I kept the tractor, but I built a new barn. And I also used to have chickens down there. That's made about, that building is built like, I think, about 1918 or so. Or 1919. I have to look it up. My wife made a little sign for that, so she's got it written down. Anyway, very quiet. There's 200 acres around us of national forest, and we are right adjacent to it. So if you want to go hunting, you got to go through my property, or you don't go hunting, unless you come in maybe from the other end. You got a long walk. So it's pretty nice that I got lots of room. We only own 3 acres. So it feels like I own 403 acres. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, good morning, Don. Don, good to hear you on 40 meters the other day. That was nice. And that was a beautiful signal, too. And that mobile of yours working AM was great. Pretty cool. And, that's one thing I never did. I never did work mobile AM. I did mobile CW with a key strapped to my knee years ago. A couple of us used to do that, but we had a lot of fun. Perry, you're sounding good this morning also. Good morning to you. Boy, that your dad ran off. I almost felt like I ran him off when I jumped in here. But anyhow, we're here this morning. I woke up a little bit later, and first I wasn't even going to jump on the air when I realized it was Sunday. Yeah, let's see what else. Monday, we're actually going to go back to work. I've got a roofing job I got to do. It's going to be outside. I got the theater that I remodeled, so I don't think I'm going to kill myself working outside with the guys. So I got a couple new guys that want to work. I said, good, let's go do it. We got to get this job done. My other 2 prima donnas don't feel like working. They said, they go outside, you're going to die. This whole thing is getting crazy here. KD4UMU. Well, man, you are strong. N4EDQ. Go ahead. Good morning.
All right, recognizing KD2FO. Go ahead and jump in there. Send it back to me, and then I'll send it up to Perry. KD2FO. All right, very good, Don, very good. Yeah, name here is Dan, Delta Alpha November, and the call is Kilo Delta 4, Uniform Mike Uniform, KD4UMU. And good to hear you on the band this morning. Nice signal coming from Washington, D.C. area, so 75 is actually working pretty good this morning. And good morning to Steve and Henry in there. Yeah, I'll run into Henry there on the 40-meter band mobile, and I heard Henry's call in there. It's on his call, and I thought, well, we'll I guess give that a try. And he heard me pretty good from the mobile, so we chatted for a little bit there. And good morning to Steve up there as well. Yeah, Steve. Well, with that antenna thing going on there with the problems. It's something you already well knew. Gotta have the feed line connected to the antenna. It works much better like that. And I've actually done the same thing up here. Of course, not an elaborate setup like you have with the rotating tower and all, but I just had under wind load and stuff, had one of the legs from the dipole on my 160 come loose, and I thought, what the heck, I'll try to load it and tune it on the one leg. It works, but the tuner doesn't like to do it, so you got to do it at reduced power to, do some kind of oddball stuff like that. But hey, sounds like you've got it all set up and working nice. Great, strong signal down here, so coming in quite well. And 73 to Frank, that was in there, and of course Earl signed out earlier as well. And forgot to say 73 to Earl there. He was talking about flying back in the early days and flying RC planes and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I worked with my military time. I was what they called aviation structural mechanic, which is rivets, nuts, and bolts, and everything that holds the airplane together, and all of that that goes into repairing structures and either putting the same strength back into it or just a little better when you do a repair, which eventually wound up working a whole lot of painting aircraft. So I got to paint a lot of aircraft. And those folks down at Shaw Air Force Base with those F-16s, man, they burnt me out on painting. Couldn't stand to touch a paint gun anymore. I mean, I was just, I don't know if anybody's ever had one of those jobs where the alarm clock goes off in the morning and you're like, oh, Lord, I know what the day's going to hold. And I don't know if anybody's done any painting or anything like that, but just grueling work is all it is. You sand an entire aircraft down, then paint it, and then prime and paint it, and then turn around. And then you gotta stencil it up and put the tail flashes, tail number. It's just a long, drawn out process. And we painted every aircraft that was on the base that was going out because they were getting new aircraft in. So of course the old aircraft had to go out and about in the world, whoever was buying F-16s from the United States at the time. A lot of guard guys were getting F-16s back then, were just coming online with F-16s. So they got our Block 15s and Block 25s and all that kind of stuff. And of course, with the aircraft manufacturers always coming out with some kind of new whiz-bang thing to put in an airframe for these newer aircraft. So as we got rid of all of our old Block 25 model F-16 aircraft from down at Shaw Air Force Base, they come around and gave us the great news. Woohoo! We're switching to Block 42s or Block 40s or whatever it was. And of course, I knew what that entailed. So I said, I'm not going through another one of these. So I skipped out and put in for a set of orders to Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico. Got to work on those F-117A stealth fighters down there, and that was something different. Really enjoyed that. And talk about just learning something new, how to do all of those radar absorbent coatings and all that kind of stuff, and then later on operating radar, ground-based radar, shooting radar at aircraft. So that was a whole lot of fun. So something new. But looking at that aircraft sitting on the ground, you got used to looking at F-16s and all that, and some of the newer model aircraft, and they look pretty cool sitting on the ground. They just look badass, And when I stood up next to this F-117 and looked at it, and it's got this oil canning effect of the skins down the side, and it was just butt ugly sitting on the ground. The aircraft only looks cool when it's flying, and you can see it right from the bottom. Looks like a big arrowhead. But sitting on the ground, yeah, butt ugly. I don't know if anybody's ever gone up to Wright Pat at the Air Museum up there and looked at that old F-117 they've got sitting on the floor in there. But that's it, man. Just an ugly old airplane. Anyway, with that, let me go ahead and send it on around. And nice signals down here this morning from everybody. W3MMR from KD4UMU.
KK4GZQ. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kev. KK4GZQ in the group. W3MMR. KD4UMU, K0SF, and November 4 Echo Delta Queen. Excuse me. Well, Henry, you know how my father is. He gets in here and tries to get in early before there's a whole bunch of folks, and then once people start breaking in every time somebody on keys, he usually skedaddles and heads down the band there. He's not one for sitting around for a while and waiting to make a transmission, I guess there. So. But to each their own. Anyway, but I don't think it was you, Henry. You didn't run him off. It wouldn't have mattered who keyed up. He probably would have set his 73s and got on out of there. Anyway, good morning, Kevo, the mayor of Noonsuch. Good signal here this morning, as always. You and Dan are neck and neck there for the lead. And good, I guess maybe you're on the BC 610 this morning, Kev, and the old mousetrap. There, Henry, you have a big signal here this morning. And Steve, real good on getting real good on hooking the wire back up. Yeah, I was talking earlier to Earl, and I don't ever really hear guys, but I'm not up at midnight and 1 o'clock in the morning either. I'm like you, I'm in bed early, but usually the furthest west I hear is you. You're probably the farthest west that I hear here. And you come in really, really good. And everything in between usually comes in fairly well. Sometimes I have a problem with Kevin Z and I in the mornings. But he's always copyable. Sometimes he's strong, sometimes he's not real strong, but that's just par for the course, I guess. But yeah, one day I'll maybe get a parasitic reflector, something like you have up one day. I just don't have the room here. And use maybe the Chrisman phasing method. I know my father uses that on his 40-meter verticals. I know Brent W1IA uses that on his 80-meter array, horizontal wire array, and has ridiculously good front to back. And with it, when he switches from northeast to southwest, the difference is, it's a good 20 dB every time he does it, every time I've heard him do it, and every time we've tested it. It's unbelievable, the front to back and the gain that thing has. So one day, in due time, we'll have something like that. So let me keep it moving. I'll go to send it over to you, Kev, and then Kev, you send it to Steve, K0SF. KK4GZQ in the group. W3MMR.
Okay, I'm going to try to make this one a short one, Perry. W3MMR is the group. KK4GZQ, Kevin. Just outside of Lexington, Kentucky, a little farming community called Nonesuch. Good morning to all the guys that I normally talk to on a regular basis. You, Perry, Dan, Steve, and Henry. But I hadn't heard Don in a long time, KD2FO. Good morning to you, Don. Good signal over from Virginia. And I wasn't in the room when we went to transmission, but you were plenty loud over here. And I'm on the BC610 this morning, Perry, with the HQ180 receiver. And heard you guys talking a little bit about 40 meters, and heard maybe that Dan was on 40. And I've been catching a few of you guys here and there, and been enjoying working this Delta Loop. And I've got a single 3500Z in the air with the TS570, and I'm putting out, I'm only driving it for about 20 watts, and putting out about 90 watts of carrier, 340, 350 watt peaks, and it seems to be doing a pretty good job. Henry, sounded good up here. Steve, I turned on the radio this morning at the time that you were talking about ripping the feed lines off of the antenna of the beam, the inverted V beam, I guess it is. And I was just trying to wonder in my mind about how that's constructed, and I wondered if you might just give me a quick over on that. Good morning, everybody. Glad to be here with you. K0 Sugar Fox with the group KK4GZQ.
Good morning, 720. You turn the rotor on and press the buttons to say the clock line about 90 degrees, and lo and behold, this thing will remove feed lines from antennas in seconds. Yeah, that was a brain dead maneuver on my part. Well, so the tower rotates, but the wires don't. I get the support, so how do you support that? So the east guy wire, which is fully strand, so it's that insulated guy wire, the top one. The top guy wire is attached to that about 120 on the tower, so on the top east guy wire, so it's about 30 feet away from the tower to the east. So the apex of the inverted V is right at about 100 feet. And you know what a carabiner is? You know, like what a court dweller or rock climber guys would use? That's what I use. Pulleys, you think we'll use a pulley. Well, these darn things will get stuck. But the carabiner was big enough, and it pulled just fine. So anyways, the center insulator's on a carabiner, which then just clips onto that guy wire. And I just got a nylon rope attached to it to retrieve it from the tower. So that's how I catch it. And then pretty much one is 30 feet to the west from the tower. But it's an extra rope. The tower has 3 guys on it, so if you think, well then, yeah, you don't have a west-facing guy wire exactly. So I just have a rope, pretty heavy-duty rope, attached to that guy ring, which again is stationary with respect to ground. And then that slopes way out to the west, out into the wetlands, to a big piece of what they call highway sign channel. So you know what highway signs are mounted on, kind of that U-shaped heavy-duty steel. So I just got those kind of bolted together and pushed way down into the muck out into the wetlands, and that holds pretty secure. So I own the wetlands. I can't develop it, but you own it, and then you have to People can, of course, walk through it by, what are known as riparian rights, but that was the agreement I reached with the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. And I have to remove all that stuff if we move. Understandable. So that's enough. So I think you get it. And then the rest of that box, I won't go into details there. It's just the west one. So the west one's like a parasitic, and the east one is driven. They're both each leg are 64 feet, which is kind of long for phone, but that length helps make the west one reflect if that one makes any sense. So that's it. Wire. And I use I use that flex weave. It's just take all your copper wire and take it to the recycling center, and if you ever put up the wire antenna again, you get the flex weave. There is no compare. That stuff is just indestructible. All right, Henry. N480Q K0SF.
Okay, there we go. K0SF, N4EDQ. I'm just listening to everybody on the Wake Forest SDR in North Carolina. Perry gave me a new one to listen to, and Perry, that one's really good, especially when you listen to yourself. It really comes through nicely, and everybody's coming through nicely on that one. That's actually better than the Birmingham one for me. So I like that one. You can really hear your audio coming back, but everybody is hitting that one really good. And not a whole lot new this morning. Like I said, we woke up a little bit late. And good morning, Don, in K2FO. Don't think I ever had the pleasure of talking to you. My name's Henry. I'm in Blue Ridge, Georgia. And I'm on a FT2000 with a solid-state amplifier. The FT2000 into a double bazooka at about 55 feet. And anyway, Don, W8-4D or whatever, he had a problem with a coax switch, and I had a problem with the Alpha Delta switch, but I'm almost ready to buy another one because I used that switch for so long that I'm just wondering if it just wore out. But I'm about to buy another coax switch. I'm wondering if anybody had any better suggestions. Right now I'm changing my antennas with the barrel connector, and but if I wanted to switch to a different antenna, I have to unscrew it and then screw the other one in. And sometimes, especially on 40 meters, I have a 40 meter vertical and I have a 40 meter element on my TA53 mic, my beam. And I like switching between the two of them sometimes. So, but if anybody has a better idea of a better coax switch than that Alpha Delta, let me know. I don't know why the Alpha Delta went bad, but it just seemed that that little bar inside kind of messed up. So anyway, so much for that. And Steve, you're sounding great. Sounds like you're doing some antenna changes. I'm in the middle of building an 80 meter vertical, and then I'm also here in the near future. The gas man is sending me a coil. My 40 meter, I'm going to add about 130 foot of wire to the top of it, to the vertical, and turn it into an inverted L and use it on 160. So those are a couple of projects that I'm working on. And then I got involved with this company that I bought my my double bazooka from, a Radio Wave. And they have a spider beam So we've been going back and forth, working on a lot of project with them on putting together a 80-meter monoband spider beam. Quite large, but trying to shrink it down a little bit. So that's a project that I'm working on with those guys. And if we ever get that one up and going properly and test it, they're going to build it and test the thing, and then we'll see what happens. But that'll be a neat beam to have for 80 meters. And it should not be as big as a standard 80-meter beam. It should be quite a bit smaller. Anyway, I think I'm going to give it to Don, KD4UMU. I think that's where I'm supposed to go, and Don, you'll go from there. This will be N4EDQ, and good morning, Jeff. KD4UMU to take it, N4EDQ.
Pretty easy to repair, so when it comes around, I'll explain what to do. K0FX.
I think Don's still in there, KD2FO.
That's correct. KD2FO, go ahead and pick it up and send it my way. KD4UMU. All right, very good, very good. Well, would you believe, Don, interestingly enough, we had acquired that stealth, or the basic start of it from the Russians, from an old scientist engineering notebook that had been acquired. So the start of that was Russian stuff. And of course, you know, those aircraft we worked on, radar invisible, as people like to think, they were what was called low observable or reduced signature or reduced return. So you know, just all you had to do was just reduce the signature enough that they couldn't get a good signal on the other end, and then that was successful, you know. So yeah, everything was. I don't know about the old radar or Russian equipment being able to. I think that was probably not true. You know, radar is radar, no matter what you're looking at. And of course, some of these radar engineers would probably disagree, but it's a whole different science. It really is. When you're talking about differences of radars and everything else, but yeah, you know, just make sure that you know, no trihedrals, should I say, on aircraft. You know, trihedrals are those corner type reflectors. In other words, no matter what angle that you stick into the trihedral, it gives a direct mirrored reflection back out of that corner. You know, like the triangle corner of a box or something. You know, no matter how you reflect in, it reflects straight back out. You just make sure you don't have any of those and build you an aircraft, and that's about what it was, where the start was anyway. But it was interesting stuff nonetheless to mess with, and glad I got to mess with it. And we did that for, oh good Lord, 9 years, I guess 9 years down there. So, you know, I went from doing the regular grunt work of scraping off the coatings to put new coatings back on to operating the ground-based radar we had for diagnostics, you know, and we had a whole lot of fun at that. As a matter of fact, once we got it up and got it running, I just stuck with it for several more years just because we were having fun doing what we were doing. And, you know, stepping out of this paint environment, which was just grueling work, into doing that was, you know, night and day. So I stayed with it. Matter of fact, I stayed over an extra 2 years to work that program. And also that gave me time enough for my youngest son to go ahead and graduate high school. So he graduated. I did an extra 10 hours, and we loaded up and came to Kentucky. And I didn't want to stay in that environment. You know, I was pretty much, you know, done with it. I think that was kind of the highlight, messing with that stuff, being active duty and down there and messing with radar and all that kind of stuff, that I did not want to do anything else, so I did not stay with any of the companies that dealt in that. And of course, you know, everybody knows what they've gotten into now. Everything they build is stealth. The Joint Strike Fighter variant aircraft all employ stealth technology. So, you know, just good airplanes. And of course, everything we did in the past, you know, starting way back with U-2s and things of that nature, you know, they just lessons learned, and they just incorporated it into the next best thing on the market, you know. So, you know, they're real good about employing what was learned into the new stuff, and it's developed into what they have nowadays. I mean, geez, look at that F-22, sort of like top of the line of everything going on there. So, you know, F-117 didn't have a means of self-defense other than, you know, its trying to stay out of the way of radar. And nowadays, look at that F-22. You know, something comes up against that, it has more than enough means to protect itself. So you know, everything just gets better with time. And Henry, no, it was Steve was talking about that flex weave. So yeah, I've been running just old wires and stuff. You know, you get rolls of wire left over, and I've been trying different configurations of antennas and stuff over here. And the flex weave looks like a pretty good deal. It sort of reminds me of what Radio Shack used to sell years and years ago. You could buy the old antenna wire and just start stringing dipoles with it. You know, the bare copper wire, and that looks pretty tough. Looks a lot tougher, or should I say, larger diameter than what the Radio Shack was being sold. And you know, I'd strung a bunch of that bare copper wire up in through the trees when I lived on the military base, and you know, once it weathered down, that copper weathered down, you couldn't see my antennas, but I had you know, 75-meter dipole strung up through the trees in base housing, and you couldn't see it. So had a lot of fun doing that. But anyway, a question for you there, Henry, or excuse me, Steve, is have you ever tried to feed a full wave wire in the middle, sort of like a double-sized dipole? And I know the impedance on that thing it goes pretty high, anywhere from 4 to 5K when you do that. But that was one of the things that I was kind of experimenting with around here a little bit. Of course, you know, you got to get those antennas up pretty high to have any kind of benefit or gain from it. But you know, 5K is a pretty substantial feed point impedance on a full wave wire fed in the middle like that. But and of course, I guess the only real way to do it is to put a matching network there at feed points to drop that impedance down. But I've not done that. I've actually put a full wave up down here and fed it with twin lead back to the shack into the tuner, and that's a heck of a job for a tuner to do. And it would be interesting to see if Perry could tune something like that down at his place. Full wave wire fed in the middle with twin lead with that double L that he has made up over there. Anyway, with that, enough on that. Let's go ahead and send it on around. I'm sending it up to Mr. Perry. Good morning, Kevin, over there in Nonsuch as well. Perry, pick it up. Birmingham 40 MMR from KD4UMU.
All right, Dan, KD4UMU in the group. W3MMR. Just drug my feet there for a second. See if anybody wanted to get in there. You know, I don't know if I have the room here. Well, let me take that back. I think I would have the room for that, Dan, to make that loop, kind of like what Kevin's got going on, but I don't have the trees. I have 2 out of the 3 trees that I would need, put it that way. If I had one more tree, you know, kind of on the other corner there, I would be able to make it work, I think. And I think that would be good for me. Something like that here, to try to kind of lower the ambient noise floor, because I hear those delta loops or full wave loops are the noise floor is much lower. Kevin, you could speak on that. When I turn it over to you here, and what your experiences have been on 40 meters with it, compared to say just a regular half-wave dipole, inverted V, on 40 meters. But with all that being said, I've come a long way in a short period of time with my antenna here, and the noise floor, so on and so forth. For the first about year and a half that I was on HF, my noise floor is 15 over, 10 to 15 over S9 every single day. and it would get louder in the evenings, up to 20 over S9. And I was utilizing WebSDR like it was my day job, like it was my normal receiver. I got this really nice Anon over here, but I couldn't utilize the goddamn receiver in it because the noise was so high. But after, working with neighbors, getting rid of switching power supply into one neighbor's house, it was 2 doors down the one way, and then buying my other neighbor a television, which I still don't want to talk about because that noise still isn't completely gone. Now my noise is down to a solid S9 here. And about minus 74, a dB lower than dB quieter than an S9, and on the S meter, and then on the pan adapter it reads about minus 115, minus 115 on the pan adapter. And to put that in perspective, my father lives in the middle of nowhere on 6 acres, surrounded by hundreds of acres of cornfields and soybean fields, and his noise floor with the same radio is about an S7 to S8, and his ambient noise floor on his pan adapter is about 120. So I'm not too far off from him, and signal to noise ratio I know has a lot to do with it as far as S units, and signal to noise ratio is a little more important. But normally 9 times out of 10 I can hear most of the guys that he can hear, most of the times. Sometimes he can copy. A lot of times he can still copy guys that are way down there in the noise. But 9 times out of 10 I can make out pretty much everyone here. So I'm happy with the way things turned out. Went from a G5 RV at 40 feet, the apex of 40 feet, to a half-wave dipole cut here that was at 30 feet, and now I'm up to 125-foot, 600-ohm ladder-line fed doublet up 65 feet. So it's been a massive improvement. So anyway, we'll keep it moving. Back down to you, Kev. What's going on in the politics of Nonsuch there in the governor's office, in the mayor's office down there in Nonsuch this morning? Guess you got the mousetrap fired up and warming up the office. KK4GZQ W3MM4.
Hi, Perry. Some of the guys don't know why in the heck I'm laughing at that, but we'll just keep it between me and you, Perry. Anyway, W3MM4 is the group. What did I just say? KK4GZQ. 53 degrees here in downtown Nonsuch. We're looking for a high today at 69, and it looks like we're going to have some cloudy skies. I don't think we're going to get much rain over here today, Dan, or anything like that. We're supposed to have 2 pretty good days tomorrow, and I'm going to get back at it again tomorrow as well, Henry. Lucky for me, guys, thank the good Lord, but the schedule book is, I've got it filled up. I'm booked for a while. Got a lot of work to do, and thank the good Lord for that. Anyway, Steve, I do know what the carabiner is, and was following along with using that clip and the nylon fetch retrieve rope to get that all in place up there. Man, that sounds awesome. Yeah, okay on the operator error. Well, I dropped a taser out here sitting that one a beam on it one time, and man, I tell you, you've never seen a beam come down so fast. I snapped the line. Well, actually, I bent the S-hook out that was up and down. I was using my Chevy Tahoe at the time. I was backing up to a certain point and stopping, and I went just a tad too far, Steve. Oh, what a sad day it was in Nonsuch. Anyway, Perry, want to make sure, because I didn't get any notes written down on the Delta Loop. Yeah, absolutely. A lower noise floor. Somebody else told me to stand it up vertical, and I would get a lower angle of radiation. I don't have room for that. But this little 40 per leg, 40-meter Delta Loop is resonant on 40 and resonant on 15. It covers 20 meters pretty well as well. No tuner in line right now, Perry. 570 LA30 with a single 3500Z. And the rig and the microphone, and that's it. no tuner in line, and I'm enjoying the AM window there with that setup at about 100 watts carrier. Anyway, don't want to keep it here long, and Don hit on and Henry said something about that spider beam. I'm interested in that, and I wondered if that's anything like a hex beam. I've got the beginnings of a hex beam, the plate that has all that goes on the mast that holds all the spreaders. I've got one of those out here off one that came down in a storm. I don't have the spreaders, but I've got the boom that holds all the spreaders are right there. Anyway, and Don, the Globe King 500 sounds good. 600 open wire feeders interest me a lot. I was listening to a guy in here late last night talking about coax versus after he switched to 600 open wire feeders and said he would never go back. So. And, of course, you guys were talking about the coax switch, and heavier the better. Bigger contactor, the bigger, better, the better. Oh, up to you, Steve. K0 Sugar Fox with the group KK4GZQ. Morning, guys.
Use a dummy load, dummy.
You have a carrier on if you have a remote receiver.
That's not me, Dan. I'm not throwing that carrier.
Okay.
All right, Gary, very good. All your Q5 carrier in there. So good signal. Comments on the antenna, and I think you said 8-wave vertical. Very good. Yeah, you're making it all the way up here to Minnesota. Well, let's see. I think Florida AM kicks in here in about 7 minutes, right? So I better be brief. Henry, don't toss that switch. I can fix it for you if you want to mail it to me. If you're willing to, if you want to pay postage both ways, I'd fix it quickly. Two knots on those switches. First, they're completely repairable, and they're fairly simple to repair. The one thing I would do is remove the connectors, because a lot of those were built with the connectors right on the paint. And you want to scrape that paint free to get down to the die-cast metal. Second, the lift bar, you may have to slightly deform it to get it into the right position, but doubtful on that. That's easy. What typically happens is the individual band contacts or position contacts rotate, and they catch the die cast. And the reason for that is the screws that secure them get loose or break. But they're just simple nylon, I think 632s that you can get at any home store. If your connector flashed over, they're cheap. I mean, you can just get those on eBay or Amazon. And in fact, I replaced some of mine. I had UHF and I wanted some positions with N, so I replaced some of the UHF with N connectors. And soldering and all that's really easy. That metal solder's great. It's just tin lead solder, so very quick and easy to repair. And once you do it, you'll get another however many years out of it. So I would stay with those. The only other comment, if you're going to run SWR, like coax with SWR, which is not a good idea in the first place, I wouldn't do it. But if you do, I would remove that flash tube, that flashover thing, because you might pop it, especially if you're running an amplifier. So just screw those out. I don't know. I just don't think they're a good idea. So I remove mine. But, yeah, don't throw it. In fact, if you're going to throw it, just give it to me, because I can use another one. And again, if you want to mail it up here, I'll tell you what. You mail it up here, I'll mail it back. You can buy it here at Xenia. That's fine. As we give Kevin the... But we can have Kevin buy us beers, because I'm handing him a tube, I think, next year, not this year. And boy, on antennas, guys, yeah, verticals are noisy because they have a low radiation angle and they're looking into your power lines. That's why they're noisy. Everybody's, oh, verticals are noisier. Well, that's why, because they got a low radiation angle and they're looking right into the power lines. And a delta loop might be quieter, and the reason is because they got a little bit higher radiation angle in a vertical, probably not as high as an inverted V or a dipole. So they're in between areas, and your dipoles are quiet just because they're probably looking straight out there, at least 30, 40 degree takeoff angle, and they're therefore not really picking anything up from power lines. So that's why the noise thing really doesn't have anything to do with the antenna. It has a lot more to do with the rad angle. All right. So Henry, give me your switch. Give me your tired, you're broken, and I'll get it back to you all fixed. N480, and then I guess we just got a few minutes here on Florida AM. N480QK0SF.
Yeah, K0SF. N480Q. Okay, very good, James. You're going to feel bad because I took the thing out. I got so aggravated with it. I took it apart. One of the plastic rings was broken. And also the, the metal bar that's inside burned it too. And off the Delta, and I said, I need a part. It was heck getting those people. I said, I need a part for that thing. They yelled at me for taking it apart. They said, no, we won't ship you any parts. You have to buy a new switch. So I got so ticked off, I just took it off and hooked everything up with barrel connectors. So it's in the trash. It's gone. If I'd have known that, I would have probably kept the thing. But since they didn't want to sell me any parts, I got really bent out of shape, which I normally don't get too often. Anyway, with that said, but I guess I could order another one, but I sure wouldn't buy it direct from the factory. I'll get it from Gigaparts or somebody. Anyway, and Dan, you sound great down here from Shepherdsville. 82F, he sounded good. And, you know, I worked him on 40 meters, 2018 October, 1917 UTC. So I'm going to keep it short. Kevin, you asked me about the spider beam, hex beam. They're the same. They are about the same. And my noise level is down to a S3. Okay, let me get this back here for 82 FOs, and you can turn it over to the Florida AM now. Good to talk to you guys this morning. 84 FO and 42.
I'm gonna say 7-3, guys. I'm gonna get out of here. I can't hear those fellas down there, and looks like I guess the net's starting up. It's been fun, guys. 7-3, W3MMR.
Hey, take care, Perry.
7-3, Perry.
Take care, guys.
See you, Gary. Good hearing you, buddy. See you, Steve. See you, Gary, Dan, Kevin, Henry, and Don. 7-3.
Yeah, no copy. Yeah, they had already planned on closing remotely. I don't think anybody closes face to face anymore. That's not the Canadian. No, it's only 6:30.
Yeah, when you mentioned that, I glanced up the clock. Yeah, no, it should be early for them.
Good morning, N4WC.
Hey, Bill.
Good morning, Bill.
Good morning.
Hey,
My
Bill.
wife is starting to get.
Everybody breathing in and out okay?
What was Joe's worry? She's starting to finally give me flack about wanting to go down to Hungry Howie's.
There's no community contact at Hungry Howie's.
Brian, I looked. I looked at something here a few minutes ago. Dave is 73 miles and Tony is 75 and a half. So it's interesting.
Yeah, Dave's got Tony by 15 dB here.
Yeah. As it should be. As it should be, Mr. Curl. You're attaboy.
Happy.
Yeah.
Rub it in.
Every chance I get, Tony understands.
Yeah, flaunt it when he got it.
Well, what's confusing, Stan, is you're about 30 over, so you're pretty loud. So obviously there's something going on.
Well, you're coming up a little bit. Tony, there's nothing going on. There's nothing bad with your station. It's just that you're down in the hole, and it's just the way it is.
Yeah, plus Dave's audio is about.
Below sea level?
At least.
Oh, Dave's audio is at least 30 dB louder.
Tony, do you have the compressor on in that box?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Brian, you are approaching record signal strength here this morning, N0SP.
Oh, well, it's a new antenna here, old man.
Oh, you do? What's the story?
Well, I put the broken one back up yesterday. It had broken several weeks ago.
Well, it don't sound broke to me. What is it?
It's a dipole. It was on the ground yesterday. Now it's at the top of the tower.
You need to ask Dennis what's the best end insulator for tension.
There you go. What is the best end insulator for tension?
Well, I think he's making reference to a ceramic insulator that I had on a long dipole that separated. I mean, it broke apart with straight linear tension. And that's not the best one. I put a bigger one up.
Yeah, I would think that ceramic is wonderful in compression and not so wonderful in tension.
Well, this one was not well in tension. I never thought about it. But, they break like crazy when you drop them on the cement porch. But, boy, this thing just split in half. And it wasn't one of those Radio Shack things, that are about 3 inches long with 2 holes in it and a couple of flutes in the middle. It was a substantial insulator.
Yeah, I'm surfing around the web looking for something that I like.
He doesn't want the egg type that goes into compression when it breaks. He's looking for something linear, so to speak. So what would you replace it with, Dennis?
Well, the ones I've been using are the old ceramic Radio Shacks are okay. They're pretty good. But the only place that I found good insulators that are, more like 6 inches long or at least 4 or 5 inches long are things I picked up in Ampest. And no, definitely not the egg.
Right. Yeah, Hamfest was, yeah. I don't think we're going to be going to Hamfest for a while.
No,
Brian,
and
get a
there's
chunk of...
compromise depending on your supports. I mean, my supports are 500 feet apart, so I got to be careful about how much weight I put in the middle of it, or I'm getting hundreds of pounds of tension on the supports at each end. But I've got a couple of real doozy insulators here, but boy, they'd be too heavy.
Brian, get a sheet of a quarter or 3/8 plexiglass and cut them in strips about an inch wide and stick or 8 inches long and drill the size of hole you need, and away you go.
W4B.
Good morning, Steve.
Yeah, that's what Jeff One recommends. Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
How about Delrin?
Where can you get Delrin?
Delrin would be
I
fine.
don't know. I imagine some kind of place that sells that kind of stuff. I've got, let's see, old Henry Allen isn't doing it anymore, but I have a nice 3/4 inch diameter piece of Delrin you can build, drill some holes through, and that's pretty strong.
McMaster Carr probably has it.
Yeah, good point, Dave. So they probably have bar and rod.
Oh, yeah, they probably got everything you need.
Yeah, Delrin's really strong.
But I would, if you do that, then you go to machine the end holes. I would round out the corners of those holes so that you don't have a 90-degree bend on the support rope.
Yeah, that's what's ultimately why the antenna broke is not enough radius, where it goes through.
Yeah, just countersink them a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't want to have to make something, but looks like I'm going to have to.
Yes, Mike.
Being lazy, I didn't want to have to do that.
Now, is it a half-wave dipole?
Yep, half-wave center fed.
Okay, well, if you find one of those ceramic insulators that are quite common, you remember Radio Shack made plastic copies of them, but in the old days, before Radio Shack started getting cheap, they made them with ceramic, and you can still go online and find the ceramic insulators that are about 3 inches long. And since you're dealing with a low impedance feed point, that would be perfectly fine to use.
On the feed point, yeah, I was thinking of the end insulators where all the stress is. I think those plastic copies are stronger than the real thing in tension.
Yeah, they may well be. Now, what kind of beyond the insulator on the end? What kind of material are you using?
A 12 millimeter rope.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so that should work fine. I kind of shy away from the plastic because I'm not sure what the dielectric properties of it are when it gets wet, and running some power and pour dielectric and they get wet in the rope. I don't know how much it detunes the antenna, if at all. I may be just dreaming.
Yeah. DX Engineering has those dog bone style in glass.
Yeah, they're
They're good. That's what I have up now. I have a dog bone, but it's ceramic.
Good. I was just going to say, is glass different than ceramic when it comes to tension?
I got a bunch of those. They're about 3 inches long, big egg insulators.
Well, these are got the flutes in the middle with the holes on either end. And then the middle
those glass ones.
glass insulator. They got a big flute.
Oh, they're okay. You just got to be careful with them.
Well, I'm sure they're fine for an inverted V, but for a flat top where you got hundreds of pounds of tension, I don't know.
Brian, do you have are you coming right off that with RG8 or 213, or are you using a quarter wave 75 ohm?
It's coming right off with an RG213 equivalent.
Okay, you're not using a quarter wave matching stub then.
Oh.
Okay, so your support is in the center, so you don't have strain in the middle. Is that right?
Oh no, it's just the dipole strung out between a pair of towers that are 250 feet apart.
Okay, so you've got a lot of coax weight pulling on the middle of that thing.
Yeah, 200 feet of Barry Flex.
Wow. Okay. And how much of it is vertical? Oh, how high are the towers?
All of it's vertical.
Okay, how tall are the towers?
199 feet, 11 and 15/16 inch.
Okay, good. I'm glad you got that last 11/16 in there. So, in the middle of that, you're supporting 100 plus feet of RG-213.
Yeah, 200 feet.
My gosh, that's a lot of strain.
Yeah, no kidding.
How far is the coax from the tower?
125 feet.
Okay.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah. So the dipole's in the middle, then the coax drops straight down.
Wow, I thought my ladder line put a lot of tension on it.
Not to mention that big old DX Engineering balun in the middle.
Oh my God! What are you using for support? Well, you did tell me that. Then that stuff's strong. That stuff
what
is
did you
stronger
just say,
than it
Brian?
says it. Well, when my center insulator broke, I had I don't know, 1.5 to 2 inch clump of heavy wet snow covering the entire 500-foot span, and the ladder line leading up to it for about 85 feet. And who knows how heavy all of that snow was, but that split the insulator right in half, and down she came and split the ladder line too.
Good grief.
Hey, you got a balun up there, Brian?
I ain't saying. I'm afraid Frank may be listening.
Do what?
I'm afraid Frank might be listening.
Oh,
Is he anti-balun?
What?
Is he anti-balun?
Oh, he's
One of the, hopefully they can't cover all the exits.
Yeah, I'll tell him, I'm going to Florida like everybody else, and you wouldn't catch me dead in Florida.
So if I drive down to Delaware with my old plates, I can get through?
No, yeah, well you could, then they just write you a ticket for having expired plates.
I know it would be misuse of plates, probably.
Good morning again, Gary.
Good morning, and good to hear your voice. My goodness, it's been so long.
It's been such a long time, yes, and maybe Fred will show up too.
Fred's signal is very good here on 160.
Good morning, Gary.
Bonjour, Monsieur Pitoir, and also to Ricardo. Ricky Ricardo.
Good morning, Gary. Good morning, Al.
Hey, Anthony. Yes, a very good morning.
Hi, Anthony. Stop that.
Good morning.
And Pitoir, bonjour, monsieur.
Yeah, bonjour, monsieur Feder.
Who's that Trey Strong signal, 30 over 9?
Yeah, well, that's good. It's nice to have some other propagation working in our favor for a change.
You betcha.
I thought it was 30 over 9.
Oh, yeah?
It's turdy if you come from Newfoundland.
Oh, is that right? Oh, okay.
That's radio slang.
Well, I don't know. I think that the French Canadians have that kind of pronunciation.
Well, I don't know about that, but you have to end every sentence with A.
A?
So you're coming in pretty good, eh?
All right.
Good signal on 160.
Yes, well, actually, you started out quite good. At the very end, you were right down there, almost at the noise. But I was able to copy it all, so that was a good deal.
Yeah, it was changing towards the end for sure.
Well, we have 13 sunspots, so hands will be open today.
You think the sun is going to go nova?
I didn't say that.
Oh, I hope so.
You hope it does?
No, I hope not. I'm sorry.
Okay, make sure we get that right.
13 sunspots.
13.
That's a lot, isn't it?
Well, it depends on your point of view. Compared to 0, it's a lot.
It's like
W4SWR, WCH.
Oh, there's a good strong signal, Fred.
In the peak of the sunspot cycle, how many do you normally have a day?
I wouldn't remember.
Hold on, guys. Fred, is that you?
That is me. That is I.
That's better.
Hello, Fred.
Good morning, Al. I was copying you completely, but it was my Ranger that was failing us.
Yeah, I was hearing you about 50% of the time, which means that you'd start a sentence and I would hear the beginning of it quite well, but then I wouldn't hear the rest of it.
Yeah, I need to pull out my old 160 amplifier and hook it up to the Ranger. I've got some what do you call them? Not dampers, but I can get the carrier down to 20 watts, and then if I don't talk too long, the 572Bs don't get too hot. It works.
And you ought to get yourself something with a really serious final tube, water cooled or steam cooled, something really, impressive like Alan Gray uses.
Yeah, especially the steam cool. I think that would be most interesting.
Yeah, many years ago in France, I knew the guy who invented they call it the Vapotron. That's what the original tubes were called. And those things were, they'd run like 50 kilowatts.
Only my tuner would handle that.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Gray didn't pick up on what I said, so I guess he's not here yet.
Fishes of the Sierra Madre or Blazing Saddles?
Yeah, whichever came first.
Now, Gone with the Wind and Caddyshack. Now,
Things are hot now where he is. They're hunkered down, made the first trip over to Wally World, first with a internet order, and they put on their bandanas and showed up there, and they were out with the goods. And he's got a big old bag of potatoes. I think that's all he got. That's all he mentioned. But he's going to have potato soup, French fries, potatoes and gravy, and more potatoes. I don't think he's going to starve. Anyway, all good news from them. They're for HHK from HHK. Thank you, Larry. Yeah. No, you're pretty good there. Well, I'm on yesterday, and running pretty well on the NY22I, NY42 SCI, and good work. So, with you. One idea. Delivering with K186, that's what I am this morning, more down in the middle of Phoenix, and see if we can get John there at 4, and this is coming up, John. Up there at Pensacola. It's a little hot here up here, too. Black 1500, set back in the joint, second up the front, and locked up in the house and the shop, of course. And people doing all radios. So, back keepers, K4 HHK, K4 VZS. Good job. Sounds like you got it covered, and got a lot of people hunting down with their radiation there with our freezer right now, so that's all good, yeah. I understand. So we'll break it down and see if we can pick up
and see if we can get the local guys here, know if you could come well. We will come out for actual guys.
W4BA Wellington, go ahead, it's your turn. On cue.
Okay, good morning everyone. This is W4BA Lake Placid, and not copying many stations that well this morning, but good morning all, and hope everybody is well and safe and has plenty of sanitation and food and all the other things that we've become used to in our world. And let's hope we can continue to be used to it. We'll kick it on to the no propagation of the building. So, back to you, Bruce. KI4HHK. This is W4BA.
That's good, John. We got good stop around here. I'm hearing on the other side. We should be sure to check my left road, but we got a very good front signal on you there, one way or the other. And I guess what we need to do is just tell me.
Yeah, that's right. I heard from Lana, and she's listening on SDR radio, one of them, and one of the web SDR stations that you listen to. She's doing that because we're kind of sequestered and quarantined and whatever, and she'll be doing that through the end of this period. Okay, Rick, back to you.
Yes, sir. KI4HHK, Bruce down in St. Petersburg, and the Warren Ellie Memorial Florida AM Group. Good morning. This is K4BKC, Bond in Columbia, Tennessee. I'd like to say good morning to Art and Joe, my sidekicks on the panhandle down there, and John also, VZS. And over near Oxford, Mississippi, and up in Nonsuch, Kentucky. All the people in the northern South. And you guys down there in Florida that are hot and dry, we're wet and soggy up here. It is beginning to warm up a little. It's in the mid-70s, for the last 2 days in sunshine, and it was a good day to be outdoors. But it's a pleasure to be in here this morning, and glad I dragged myself out of bed and joined the group. It's always good to hear all you folks from Florida, and I'm copying most everybody this morning. No problems at all. And you're pounding in here from St. Petersburg, Bruce. So thank you for picking me up. KI4HHT. Back to you, Bruce. This is K4BKC. WB4YIB. BJ, go ahead. I'm sorry. We're just hanging in. Time to begin. You don't want to send out somebody if you don't have to? November. Field West Coast. Wanda. Where it is 17 degrees outside, about 68% humidity this morning. Here on the outside of Bravo, November. I will now service. More information on water, you can download weather and monitor the electronic drive. Anyway, good signal. Quebec South Bravo. Okay, 003, Quebec South Bravo. 2 Delta Bravo November. Well, I'm running about the same thing. I've got a Ranger here and I'm running about 130 watts out. And listening to you on the J2. My antenna's not nearly as long. It's a dipole only. It's actually off the ends of it pretty much. It's oriented north-south. So you're doing pretty well now. About S5, S6. Occasionally I miss a word or two. The town near Cleveland, Ohio. The Cleveland Browns, Cleveland, Ohio. And it's just west of Cleveland, actually. It's a city called Westlake, last city of the county. And right about 700 yards from the shores of Lake Erie, so pretty close to the lake. Anyway, I don't know how long the band will last, but it's 2:60 message starts at 8 o'clock, and I get on a little earlier, and I'm gone by 8 o'clock normally. But anyway, thanks again. S5s are actually S6. I have a noise level of about S3 right now, 3 to 4 this morning. So I miss a word here or there. Back to you, and I want to confirm your call with Quebec South Bravo. 003, Quebec, excuse me. Whiskey Alpha 3, Quebec South Bravo. 2 Delta Bravo November. Thanks again. Good morning from Ohio to Washington State. So long. Sugar Fox. I sure have. We'll keep you in here. That was not a surprise when the gentleman from Washington State gave me a call. Wow, I wasn't prepared for that. We'll go in there. So, he turns down see how you do it. You're not terribly strong. Just punching right through that side band. I got it's probably about 6 3CY. King Zero Sugar Fox. KUTBN. That's us, Steve.
Yes, we do, and just in time for encroachment of signal on each side. So, Bruce put me down as the last transmission there, so we'll just try to listen out as best we can there through all of the rest of the signals coming in from Texas, and the guys in the Northeast may be over there on 80. So we get to hear it all up here. But anyway, hearing all the stations, I've heard absolutely everybody that's transmitted. I heard them just fine here in Kentucky. So even though you guys maybe some of you aren't hearing each other there in Florida, well, your signals are making it just fine up here. Well, anyway, we'll be back to work again Monday as well. I have not been out of work since all of this started. Of course, being at the post office, I guess that's one of those essential, jobs that, to get these KG8LB subscriptions and deliveries, everything else. So we've been out working the city of Louisville every day out here since all this kicked off. So we're doing what we can to stay safe on our side. I don't know how that's going to work out for the face mask and all that stuff up here. I don't know if it's going to be a requirement for everybody being out or not. It hasn't been so far, but of course, the hospitals and stuff, they don't have enough masks and stuff to go around, so I don't know how they're going to get everybody on the street to wear one as well. So I don't know how that's going to play out, and I guess those who are in charge of the supply chain up there has probably got a big plan. I just don't know what it is. Anyway, with that, Bruce, we'll send it back to you. Go ahead and check me out, and we'll listen out for a while. KI4 HHK in the Florida AM group. Here is KD4U here in Shepherdsville, Kentucky.
It's not much more an entry-level receiver, but it does exceptionally well. And the two outside that comes out is pretty good. Anyway, back to you, Steve. You just rolling in here. I'm about 0.4 kilohertz. A little bit to get away from the sidebanders, and you're right, the Florida AM band is blasting here on 85 to occasionally out to some of the sidebands from them on one of the stronger signals. K0 Sugar Fox, I think it's Concord, Minnesota, KUTBN.
Okay, Bruce, real good.
KI4 HHK. I'll make a quick use of Gary at KG8LB in here, and I'll flip it over to him next. Very good. Corcoran, Minnesota. Although I mean, Plain Maple Grove, that's the bigger. We're right on the edge.
The net. And glad to be a part of it this morning, Bruce. But
Boston Scientific has a big plant here.
Clear out and
right on the
signals on K4BT. Plug in and several others out there with some really good signals. And net control is doing just fine here. You're 100% copy here, Bruce. So that's 73 and good AM to everybody and good day, and thanks for the receiver and employment. HHK to take it back with Florida AM group.
So in December of 71, I was 13, I had a paper out, I just got my general, I had just built an HG10B BFO for my DX60, and I could not get rid of that and the HQ110 fast enough because I wanted to trade it in for a Tempo 1
sideband transceiver, which I did. Boy, I tell you what, which are probably worth more now, the highly likely the DX60, HG10B, and HQ110. And it was a nice HQ110. Well, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Gary, go ahead. KG8LD, K0SF.
Real good. Hey, hello, Steve. We're not hearing Bill yet. Probably just minutes away, but I hear you real well. I mean, it's when you first came in there, I thought somebody was tuning up on top of you, and then you said something about your audio was turned way down. That made sense. But nice big 20/9 signal here in Utica, Michigan, and I get a kick out of people talking about their early rigs. I didn't get licensed early, and nowhere near as early as you guys. I dibbled and dabbled back when I was 12 years old. There was I had an Elmer over in Madison Heights, and he gave me the Amico 78 RPM records so I could learn the code. And I studied out of the old ARRL study guide, sent for the test, and he was the one that was going to administer the test. And the test got there, but between the time that I sent for the test and I received the test, he was re-stationed to the Kennedy Space Center. He worked for Chrysler Missile, and he moved to Florida. So I had nobody to give me the test. I kind of tinkered with radio, but I never really pursued getting the license until 1993. I finally, just one day, I actually went to the Lansing Antique Radio Show to pick up a couple old broadcast radios to restore during our shutdown at work. And while I was there, I picked up a couple of transmitters. There was an ICO 723 and a Drake 2NT for $5 a piece. And I brought them home, hooked up to a light bulb, got them both working. And I still had my key from when I was 15 that a W8OT gave me. And I figured, well, what the heck, I'm just going to get my license. So while I was off work that 2-week summer shutdown, I re-studied the code and redid the whole works and went down. Yeah, the band in August. But it was the July shutdown, and the first test was in August. I got my license in August. And upgraded to General, I think it was about 2 months later.
Me up here. It's always a pleasure to hear Florida early.
I got sidetracked.
It's a pleasure to hear all these things.
I sure wish I would have just So, get it over to Bill. If he's hearing this, Steve, you may have to give him a relay or whoever else is in there. This is KG8LD. Good morning.
Doing well.
Yeah, okay. Very, very good, Gary. Well, I had all those distractions and it's limited. You got all the
on the 20B2 converted Collins broadcast transmitter and listening to you on an R390.
And then when you're working, you make money when you got energy, but you don't have any time. And then, of course, when you get up to where we are,
I really enjoyed it.
Money, a lot of time, and a little lacking on the energy and motivation. So, yeah, that's the problem you can't get more together at the same time going. All right, Bill, back to you, KG1K0SF.
Thanks, Steve. I can hear Gary in there, but not quite. Zero Sugar Fox and KG8LD, K8PBN. If Bill can't hear me, I pass it on to him that I can get a word in there now and then. And I heard him talking about his Amico, but he's only about, my noise levels now are about S2, and it picks up through that a little bit. It's all atmospheric noise right now. Well, you're right. When you get your license young, like we all did, most of us did anyway, you go through a period where you have absolutely no money, and you're trying to make things work. And you're just looking through the Allied radio and the BA catalog and all those things and dreaming of what you might get. And no money. And now, then you go through the effort where, you have a little picture. General at the time was the only thing you really needed to get. You didn't bring anything at all. And there was no advanced back then. There was a Class A and a Class B familiar, but no advanced license. So then you discover, girls, cars and girls put together. So then you get on with maybe getting somewhere else and doing things. I don't know, I'm radio a little bit. I've never been maybe a time or so. That must have been military. Then, of course, there's the military you have to deal with. That takes a little away. Then you get married and you come back, and now you have time. Anyway, I walk around with no money. That's the big thing. Yeah, this H2110 I've had it for a while. I've really never used it. I've gone over it, and it's a 9.5 out of 10 cosmetically, and electrically it's excellent. It's just amazing. I've used it a few times, but never in combination. So this is the first time. Not first time. I probably put it up after about over 10 years or so. Anyway, I'm gonna back you to get to Gary. Gary, I guess, I don't think he's copying me. But we used to get out of the room, especially in the winter time with him. I was looking forward to the right time. The band was really shoulders. By that I mean the static that was. Thank you. It was really long. He said he was running we probably heard the conversation, running about 120 watts, 240.
WA3MJY.
KF9KU. I didn't get it, the 5-band term will probably, if maybe, Gary picked you up, it can pick you up. Very good. Well, great on the West Coast compact. Well, I don't think I'm going to do that anymore here. I got the second inverted D hook up again. I was only on the one here since about October, November. And so I could kind of work two directions, but I wanted to get the second one up again because most of the activity is to the east. So I'm pretty much beaming east now with the two inverted Ds. I don't have a fancy phasing arrangement that I had on my QRZ page. That actually worked great. It tuned well. I could get it right on frequency, and then there's nothing to the west. But I was using these surface mount caps, and it's not really a problem with the capacitor. The issue was anything get wet, like following rain or on a, or frost. If you had a high dew point and a low temperature, frost would form on those capacitors, and then they'd arc over. And then the printed circuit board, which was just cheap material, it was not high quality board, it wasn't FR4, would go up in flames. So I just got tired of that and went over to just making and driving the east one, so it's just conventional parasitic. Except that they're both the same length, and they're both way CW cut, so they're way long up here, which again makes the left one a reflector, and then just have a match. On the balance line to the east inverted, be up on the tower. to turn it uphill. It's directional that way. So I also have to keep same thing going on it. If I want to keep connections, I can, but I gotta clean the tower. I don't have relays. So I think we'll just leave it east for now. Gary, over to you, and I don't know if you picked up the other station. I couldn't quite hear it. KG8LB,
WA3MJY.
I heard another one, but I couldn't quite make it out.
That was Bill Count 9KU that I heard in there.
And I'm not copying Bill yet at all.
And the sideband is starting to come up a little bit, and it's usually an indicator that Bill will be coming in pretty soon. I haven't heard, surprisingly, the first one I usually hear is Rich, W3MJY. And as the gray line tracks this way, we pick up, we start getting closer to getting Bill, but nothing on Bill yet. The KF9KU is real strong, so I guess the line between here and there is just about right. So let's see. I'm going to get it over to Gil, and Gil, I guess you can just pass whoever, there's another station in there if you can pick them up, and you can probably pass it over to the other station. KF9KU to take it. This is KG8LB.
WA3MJY. Good morning, Ricky. Good morning, Gil. Go ahead, dear. Are you copying me, Bill? Over.
Go ahead, Gil.
Yeah, I'm copying you.
Rick's talking now, Gary.
KF9KU.
I'm hearing you now, Bill.
Roger. Yeah, I heard Jeff too, and Steve, also Gil in there. So just say good morning real quick, and then give it over to Gil, because Gary turned it over to Gil. So then I'll wait, and then you guys can give it back to me. I'm on the IC76 this morning. KF9KU, take it. WA3MJY.
Okay, Rick. Thank you very much, and thank you, Gary. WA3NJY, KF9KU, Gil here, Wisconsin. 70 miles north. Like Maury, I'm running a C1 with a lot of GSP 101 amplifier. Got 150 watts here. No growth in the flux. And Brush here is not coming up yet. So I got nice clear sailing, and then, of course, the wood ticks will be hitting. So I just wanted to say good morning and get here on the DX60 Memorial, NVR Memorial Prevent. Bill and Steve, I couldn't hear. Good morning. Loud coming in. Rick, and then I also heard him get really last time to me, Rick,
Okay, Gil, KF9KU and the group, WA3MJY. Say good morning to everybody. 46 degrees here this morning already, and cloudy. I think we're going to get some rain here. Running IC7610 here this morning. It was the quickest thing to turn on. I've been working from home now for just pretty soon about a month, and so I don't want to get up early like I used to. Anyway, trying to get. I hope that this doesn't last until next fall, and things tries to get to normal in another month or so. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I heard W8SHA in there too, Jeff. So maybe I'll give it to him, and then Jeff, if you heard ND9B, you give it to him, and then I guess I don't know who gets it. I guess it's back to Bill. W8SHA, the group WA3MJY.
Washing that.
me this morning. She is behind me in her workshop, which is right next to the radio room here.
Is Jeff in there?
I'm not hearing Jeff, Bill. I don't know if ND9B's in there, and maybe Bob can pick it up, and then he can turn it back over to GY, I guess, or JMK, one of the two. It's WA3MJY. In there, Bob? I don't hear him either, Bill.
I'm going to turn it back over to your room, so for HHK, this will be my 73, so you all have a great week, and we'll see you on the radio next Sunday. For HHK, this is...
Good morning, Gil. Nice signal, Bill. And Rick, you're coming up a little bit, not as strong as you normally are. So I'm going to give it back to Gary and see if he can sort it out. I did not hear Bob, ND9B. I did not hear Jeff, WSAJ. I did hear Jeff, W9GY. I did hear W9GMK. So he said he was going to get coffee, but he might be sticking around. So that's where we need to sort it out. Pick up ND9B and then Jeff, W9GY, and then W9JMK. So we can, go ahead, Jeff. Gary.
Hey, almost, the band was almost dead quiet, and then all of a sudden K0SF came out like he was in my backyard. Big signal there, Steve, and he was talking to you. And so we usually hear WA3MJY very early. It's usually the first person I hear. But I hadn't heard him until just after I started hearing you. So the band is kind of looking backwards this morning. I haven't heard W9GY. I heard Gil KF9KU real well, and I have not heard ND9B. So we're going to give it a shot here. I'm going to turn it up to Jeff. Hopefully he's hearing me. And if he doesn't come on board, he's relay W9GY. And Jeff, if you will, turn it over to Jerry. He should be back from those coffee retrieval, W9JMK. So here you go, W9GY, KG8LB.
NA,
You got it, Jerry. I hear you give it to you.
Good morning to all W9JMK here this morning. Did anybody catch that last station?
It was TLU.
Thanks for TLU, question mark TLU. Well, I haven't heard ND9B, but I did hear Jeff real well that last time, Jeff. Your signal was about over 9, so good strong signal from up your way. Let's see. Somebody said they heard ND9B, so let's give him a shot. And ND9B, turn it back over to K0SF, and from there we'll go to TLU. Question mark TLU. So MD9B to K0SF, and then to TLU. This is KG. Oh, that's got to be Terry. M6TLU. Let's go. Let's try this now. Okay. ND9B to K0SF and K0SF to N6TLU. This is KG8LB.
G8LB. Good morning, Gary and Bill and Jeff and Jerry and Rick and Gil. Everybody, it's just kind of came alive a little bit here, and working the super senior still. And I have a Johnson Reed myself. Haven't tried it out. Over to the helicopter. Okay, well, that's about it. Go ahead, Steve.
All right, Bob. Great signal. ND9B K0SF just counted in here. I assume you're on your super senior, good 15 to 20 over 9. I moved up to 81 to get away from Magnolia. So I have to turn slightly off for me. I don't think I'll be bothering Florida AM at this time. Anyways, great signal. The switch hasn't turned on Joe or Jeff or Jerry, and that's pretty cool. It's a little early for them in Wisconsin, but all of a sudden the half hour will be loud here. And Jeff down in you're coming up next. Rick, nice to Pennsylvania. We'll get up 9:5 to 10 over. And you're still rolling up at 20 over. So, very nice signal this morning. I'm on the 20 screen, running around 375 carrier. And the antenna dual inverted V again, and part of the speed points are up about 100 feet, and then this thing on the National HRO 60. So too, we're seeing the QRZ page. I can't tell if it's a 300 or 202. And maybe it's okay, I just pulled my 300. I went through the whole thing. Oh no, it is a 300. There you go. I just pulled my 300. I had a guy who wanted to get his hands. I said, oh well, he got his license. He's an extra. And I wanted to get on boat anchor right now. So I said, hey, I just went through this 15, 20 hours into it last year. And recapped it, replaced about 25 resistors. I had a spare 50 integrators from the HRO 60 on that. I plugged it into a 300, so now it's off on. Great receiver. I told him, if you're going to try this, you need to call me and give me a letter.
K9GAF just dropped in there. How you doing, Jerry? Jerry here in Battle Creek. Just heard you guys and wanted to hop in there. I know that the EX69's coming up here soonly. Alright, so the has changed a little bit here. I'm running the new vertical, one of those ground-mounted butternut verticals. This is the first time that I put the Johnson 300 in. So hopefully you guys see some type of an improvement on my signal. Also, I have a new electrically ceramic mic that I just hooked up this morning. So, you guys can have some audio reports, I guess. The station's running fine. This new antenna just tunes like butter. I'm really impressed with this antenna. The receiver will go 500 as a matter. And Gary, LB, I saw that you had your 500 up on QTH.com, and I was wondering, did you sell it? Because man, it was on there, it was gone. You must have a pile of them. It seems like you've sold quite a few. So let me turn it over to Jerry. And Jerry, how's the audio sound on this? It's a Metro Voice 719 ceramic mic. Go ahead, N6TLU. WANS region is the frequency in use. WB2HJK listening.
Okay, we got a flurry in there. Thank you, bro. I got K9GAF, I think it's K8NEC, and N9WQ, I'm sorry. And quick comment there, Terry. Just getting your signal was just coming up as you were talking. When you first came in, I was straining and contacting your transmission. I could hear you pretty well. Okay, on the new antenna, the new vertical antenna, I think you said, and the electric voice ceramic microphone. I'm not familiar with that one, but it sounds good. It's definitely your audio is really helping. Very crisp, clear audio, and good copy. Thanks to the good audio. And we'll probably give you a more definitive signal report when the signal strengths start to come up with the propagation. So I'm going to do this. We haven't heard from Bill at K8DVN. I'm going to send it to K8DVN, and Bill will send it to K9GAS, and from K9GAS to K8NEC or W8NEC, and then to N9WQ. K8DVN to GAS to NEC to WQ. This is KG8LB. Okay. I got some others that were in there. Very nice. Nice signals all around this morning. Coming in nice. I also had in there Jim, N8AUG. That's N8 I tried to call it quite a few times and I heard him. And Jeff, his neighbor, is in there, WOOS. I did hear WQ. First time I talked to you, I think you modified this, but not N6 PRU. Carry a nice signal down here. You would come in had more highs than lows. It was still good audio. A little too much on the high side. Overall, it sounds really nice. And let's see, K's in here too. That's about it. This morning I got
has a long road ahead of her yet. Back to you, Al. And hopefully you're doing well as too. W1VTP in the AM carrier 3net K2FW.
W3 MMR, good morning.
Hey, Frank.
Oh, I'm Frank now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Perry.
Yeah, I'm here, but I got somebody
I'm
right on top
embarrassed.
of me.
I heard WA2RAS in there as well.
Yeah, I heard Jeff as well. Go ahead, Al, and then you can turn it over to Perry, and then Perry can turn it to Mr. Jeff.
I was saying, before I was interrupted by her nibs, that I have a program. I typed in MMR. Investors you call and you read.
Tennessee line and at least an S9
Yes.
here. Very good signal from Oklahoma.
The database set up here so that I can enter the suffix and then place. The whole conference up. So there. Yeah, we can, actually I've not slowed down and my shopping, don't go out as much as I used to go out to, frivolous shopping for 2 days and then I'll come back out. We've got to get some more provisions. That'll live somewhere. But, so I'm due to go out. I think I'm actually due to go out today, which I'm not too crazy about. But I had gloves when it wasn't in fashion. And I have a container of sanitizer in the car. And I have the face mask. I actually ordered 100